So the article that our group read and made a poster about was learning from parents of children with disabilities. The author of the article was Donald M. Taylor. And before we get into discussing the actual article, I want to talk about the author, Donald M. Taylor. He teaches undergraduate and graduate courses in music education at the University of North Texas, where he also serves as the coordinator of PhD studies. Additionally, his primary focus is elementary general music, and specifically his research focuses on social justice issues in music education. He has a PhD in music education from the University of Texas at Austin. And before receiving his PhD, he taught elementary general music for 9 years. Some of the places he has published articles includes the Journal of Research in Music Education, Bulletin of the Council for Research in Music Education, Journal of the Music Teacher Education, Contributions to Music Education, General Music Today, and the Music Educators Journal. So our article was an intrinsic case study that included 10 graduate students. 4 of them were women and the rest were men, and they were all between the ages of 22 and 32. All 10 graduate students were from the United States, China, Japan, and Ecuador. 3 of the graduate students are pursuing doctoral studies, and the rest were completing their master's degree. The teaching experience that all of these graduate students had ranged from 9 months to 9 years, and 6 of the participants had completed student teaching in undergraduate music, but only 1 had taught professionally in public school. All the others had taught applied lessons in public or private schools. So this was a class where the master's and doctoral students interacted with parents of children with disabilities. They attended the class for 3 hours every day for 5 days a week, for 13 total classes plus 1 final exam. Each class was purposely designed to focus on one of the 13 disabilities covered under IDEA. And then for every class, they had to do a reading based on the topic that they were going to be covering. The classes included a 30 to 45-minute informational presentation from a parent of a child with that disability that day that was being discussed. The data was collected by 12 rather structured focus group interviews taken directly after each parent's visit. And they also had to do 12 journal reflections that were due the day after each parent's visit. And there was 1 structured individual interview that was done on the final exam. They use Wiseman's concept of analysis of empathy, and that served as a theoretical framework throughout this entire study. And it was, like I already said, an intrinsic qualitative case study, and an intrinsic qualitative case study is a study where the primary subject is the primary interest of what you're researching. So for as far as the aspects of music, the participants found that the performances given by the students with the disabilities were powerful, given the participants' dedication and the passion for music. And actually, the article discussed how, even though these students had disabilities, their ability to create music was often profound, and their disability was often used as the label when really they could do a lot more than just their disability. And the article also indicated that the music instruction was adapted to meet each student's individual needs and to build on their strengths. So they just weren't focusing on the fact that they had a disability. They were focusing on what their disability, like, in a way how it hindered them, but how they could use it in other ways, and their strengths, and how they could, like, make music in other ways. So, like, we already mentioned, part 5, it was an intrinsic case study, and it had qualitative data. There was no control or experimental data. There was 10 graduate students. It is not a literature review, and it was not a double-blind or meta-analysis. So the conclusions were that continuous personal interactions with the parents was the most powerful experience. They went from being sympathetic of the parents at the beginning of the case to empathetic at the end. All of the teachers felt the need to continue these interactions, and they felt that interactions with parents is an important way in order to understand how they can help each child. And they thought that parents at the beginning were being too overprotective of their child, but as, like, the case progressed, they realized that, like, these parents were the biggest advocates, and oftentimes schools like, don't do all that they can for these kids, and so the parents have to advocate, and, like, it might come off as being overprotective, but really the parents are just being their biggest advocates. And at the end of the case, the participants were less daunted by interacting with the parents and children with disabilities, and they felt like interacting with the parents is one of the best ways to figure out how to help each child. The implications and potential applications are, in order to promote greater empathy, the teachers need to take into account the benefits and challenges of having regular interactions between their music education students and the parents of the children with these disabilities in their class. And they need to, like, communicate with their other general teachers as well and figure out what works best in their class and see if that'll also work best in their class. The interactions with parents were described as life-changing events. Like I already said, that they realized that's one of the best ways to figure out how to help these kids. And then we need to have continued communication with teachers to improve the teachers' effectiveness, how the students learn, and the overall quality of life for everyone involved. And then we made a pamphlet to describe how teachers can help students with disabilities, and also, like, to give to the parents as well. So yes, that was our article, Learning from Parents of Children with Disabilities. It was very interesting, and I think I learned a lot from reading this article and making the poster.